to Words That Win, Study Plan and Personal Statement Tips from NTU. Selamat datang bagi para peserta ke Words That Win, webinar Study Plan dan Personal Statement yang akan diberikan tipsnya bagi National Taiwan University, universitas top pertama di Taiwan. Di kesempatan kali ini kita akan memberikan tips gimana cara kalian menulis study plan dan juga personal statement. Dan bagi para peserta yang ingin mempunyai pertanyaan kepada narasumber, dimohon untuk menanyakan di slide di berikut ini. Boleh di screenshot ya Bapak Ibu sekalian. Saya kasih waktu 5 detik. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Oke, bagi yang sebentar. Bagi yang belum kedapatan screenshotannya, saya bantu share linknya ke call ya, sebentar. Oke, untuk selama meeting kali ini kita akan mostly akan dibawakan dalam bahasa Inggris, tapi kalau misalnya Bapak Ibu sekalian ada pertanyaan, boleh banget langsung ditanyakan di QR code berikut ini atau di chat Zoom. Without further ado, let's welcome Vivian Fan, the Manager of Global Student Affairs of National University.
Hello, everyone. I'm Vivian from National Taiwan University's Office of International Affairs. And today I'm going to introduce the university a little bit and then also give you some tips on personal statement and study plan. So let's get right started. All right, so once again, I'm Vivian. I'm from the Office of International Affairs. So for students from Indonesia, when you're applying, our office is the first step that you go through. So whatever question you have or any help you might need, you can reach out to our office for help. Depending on your student status, after you come to NTU, you will have various offices to help you out. So today, in addition to me sharing about what we want to see from personal statement and what we want to see from study plans, we also invited a current student of NTU, Thalia, to share her experience applying and writing her essays to you. All right, so there are many reasons why students come choose to study in Taiwan. It's very affordable compared to other countries. It's also a very safe place for students, whether you're whatever age you are, whatever gender you are, it's a very safe place to study. We are currently ranked number 14 as one of the world's best student city. So I think everyone is pretty familiar with Taiwan, but just in case you don't know, we are located in the middle of Taipei City. It is very convenient to get to from the Taoyuan International Airport because there is an airport MRT. However, that is not the only campus that we have. We actually have campuses all throughout Taiwan, but the majority of our students are in the main campus in Taipei City. So many students come to NTU because we have a very good reputation in the world. So according to the QS student ranking, we do rank very well. We have always been the #1 university in Taiwan, and we are number 2063rd in the world. So if ranking is a little vague to you, we have pull up university of similar ranking up right on the next, so you get a better sense of idea. We're very proud of the fact that we stand among the world's best university, but at a very affordable price. So we are not sacrificing any education quality, even though we don't charge as much as European and American university. We also offer very comprehensive discipline. So whatever you want to study, you will probably find a program of your choice at NTU because we have 17 different colleges, 61 departments, and 152 graduate institutes in total. So next, if you're interested in going abroad through an exchange program, or if you're interested in maybe having an internship abroad, we also have a lot of resources for that because we have more than 700 partner institutions. So a little bit more on the programs that we offer. I mentioned that we have 17 different colleges. So you can see here, they range everything from the liberal arts, electrical engineering, life science, medicine, science, law, social sciences, and all that. We also have newly established colleges because we want to always provide new program for our students and respond to the world's current challenges. So in addition to all the Chinese programs that we offer, so if you're interested in seeing all the entirety of the programs we offer, including the Chinese one, please just Google us online. So National Taiwan University Overseas Students Admissions. From there on, you will see all the programs that we offer. So if you're not comfortable with a fully Chinese taught program, you also have the English taught programs to choose from. So we currently have 9 English taught programs that you can choose from. And if you're more interested in the STEM side, we have semiconductor, life science, civil engineering, intelligent engineering, mechanical engineering, biotechnology, and food nutrition. So in particularly life science and mechanical engineering are new English taught programs that have been opened this year. So if that's something that you happen to be interested in, this is a really good opportunity to take. We are a pretty big school. We have more than 34,000 students. About half of these students are bachelor students, about half are graduate students, showing that we are fully a research university. So about 10% of our degree student body are considered overseas students. And if we're adding in other non-degree students, such as exchange students, which we have a lot of, exchange students, incoming visiting students, language school students, all that, if we're adding all that up, in one school year, we actually have more than 7,000 international students on campus. So it's a very, very international environment, and you never have to worry about feeling like the only foreigner on campus. Especially if you're coming from Indonesia, we have a very vibrant Indonesian student community here on campus, so you will never feel alone. If you're interested in learning more about part-time jobs and also internships, you are allowed to work as an international student at NTU. So during the semester, you can actually work up to 20 hours per week, and there is no restriction during summer break and winter break. So if you're interested in actually getting an internship during the summer, we also have something called the NTU International Mentorship Program. So the program is created by our office because we've noticed that it's harder for overseas students to get an internship because maybe they lack the local connection needed, or maybe they lack the language skill needed to get an internship in Taiwan, which is why our office have partnered with a variety of companies, whether it's public or private or civic in Taiwan. And when you apply to the program through our office, we will try our best to match you with the internship position in one of these companies. And you will do your internship that way and gain some experience working in Taiwan before you graduate. So if you're interested in learning more, please scan the QR code to go to the website for the program to learn more. So here is what I've mentioned before. You can take a look at all the partner organizations we have. If you go onto our website, you will see a more detailed description of all the companies listed and then the positions they offer. So through the website, you can also watch videos of students talking about their past experience in interning at these companies. And we actually have many, many Indonesian students involved with this program. So if you're interested at all, please go check out the website. So I want to briefly go over student life at NTU, since that's something that I think it is very important for students. We have 2 semesters in one school year. The first semester goes from August, and it goes all the way to December. The second semester goes from February and it goes all the way to May. So we have a 16-week semester. So it's very packed for students. Students are busy with club, with academics every day. And I think students all live a very fulfilling life, which Talia can tell you more about later. So you can see here we host a variety of activities all throughout the school year. So they could be hosted by our office, by the Office of Student Affairs, by the school itself, and there's just always a lot of things for our students to do and to enjoy. Before students even arrive at NTU, student volunteers will reach out to you to provide you with information for life in Taiwan and also to help you through processes like course registration. And after you've arrived in Taiwan, we will lead you through freshman orientation, which includes an information session that tells you everything important that you need to know about NTU. We will also take you on a campus tour. So we do have quite a big campus, and it's very easy to get lost if it's your first time here. So we will provide all these resources to you to make sure that you can get through your school year all right. So we also, well, for undergraduate student, it's required to take Mandarin. So you will get tested into a level that's suitable for you before school even starts. So even if you're not very confident in your skills, you will be placed in the right level. And that way you can develop your Mandarin skills and you will feel more comfortable going around Taiwan, going around Taipei, and going about your day-to-day life in Taiwan. Because we have many students, we also have a very vibrant club and sports life for our students. We have more than 400 student clubs that range everything from student interest to charity to sports. You can see here that they really cover every facet of student life at NTU. And we also offer more than 20 different sports and 30 teams. If you are very athletic and you want to represent NTU and compete against other universities in Taiwan, that's totally possible. We also have many student organizations, including an Indonesian Student Association that's very active and hosts a lot of activities. And I'm sure our student will talk more about her experience later. So a lot of you might be wondering about accommodation at NTU. Because you are here as an overseas student, you are prioritized for on-campus housing. We do have on-campus housing, and it's a really good way for all of our students to meet friends. So you will become friends with other international students. You will also become friends with other Taiwanese students very easily. So next, for tuition fees, this is just a pretty big overview of our tuition fees. So this is also where I will mention the difference between international student and overseas Chinese students. I think a lot of you probably qualify for both statuses. So if you're interested in learning more, you can look up the difference, see which one you qualify, and think about all the differences before you decide what to apply as. So I'll just say that for next school year, so if you want to join us next year in September, the applying as an overseas Chinese student directly to NTU, the application is already over. Currently, the international student application is ongoing. So if you missed the overseas Chinese student recommendation through high school, through overseas high school route, for whatever reason, it's totally fine. You may qualify as an international student and you can apply as an international student now still. So this is also just for reference. It's a brief listing of cost of living of studying at NTU. I mentioned before, all the information. So this is just a really brief overview because I want to get to the personal statement and study plan part. So if you miss anything, that's totally fine. All you have to do is to Google National Taiwan University Overseas Student Admissions, and you will get to our admission website. And this is where you can find all the information related to student status, application link, language proficiency requirement, academic requirement, and all that. Yeah, so once again, as you can see over here, we have two student statuses, and the recommendation by Overseas High School application channel has already closed for next year. So if you're interested in joining us next year, you can either apply through the University Entrance Committee for Overseas Chinese Student, that is Hui. I think it's still ongoing right now, so you can check that out if you want to apply as overseas Chinese students. But if if you're okay with applying as international students and you see programs that you want to apply for as international student, for example, English taught programs. So for the two application channels that are left, if you want to apply for English taught program, applying as an international student is going to be your only choice. So if you think that's something that you want to pursue, then you're very lucky. You still have time to apply as an international student. So this is what I'm talking about. You can see that recommendation by Overseas High School is our earliest application. So for next year, it's probably going to be the same. If you wish to apply as an overseas Chinese student, you gotta start around August because applications will end mid-September, and then these students will know the results in November. So you can see here that for international students, the application period is still ongoing. We have 2 rounds of application for September entry, and there's no difference between the 2 rounds. Other than that, for the first round, you're gonna know your results in January. And for the second round, you're not gonna know your results until April. So I do encourage students, if you already feel like you are comfortable with applying, you can gather your applications right now. You can apply right now. You're gonna know by January. And I think that's gonna free up a lot more options for you going forward. All right, so you can see here that the 海联会 application route is somewhere around, I think you do have to register around December. So obviously that doesn't go through NTU, that doesn't go through OIA. So if you're interested in applying through that route, you have to go check out their website right now to get a note of all the important dates so you don't miss it. All right, so I've mentioned before that we've offered both Chinese top programs and also English top programs. And if you want to apply for a Chinese top program, obviously you need to show us that you have sufficient Chinese skills to succeed in your program. So if you're applying for a program conducted in Chinese, we want to see a TOC FL of at least band A level 2. If you're applying for HSK, we want to see at least a level 4. And if you're applying for a program conducted in English, you have to show us one of these English proficiency requirements. If you happen to be applying for both programs, so at once you can apply to 5 programs in total. So if you happen to apply for both English top program and Chinese top program, obviously in that case, you're gonna have to give us both a Chinese proficiency proof and also an English proficiency proof. So this is also a good time to, you still have some time, and then so if you don't have these test scores yet, this is also a good time to go take the test because even before you apply, if you don't have your score yet, but you've already taken it or you plan to take it, you can also explain that I'm taking it on this date, and then that will count for us. We will still consider your application. But this is a very important part. No matter what, before you join NTU, you will have to submit these requirements. So this is a really good time to get started on checking what you have. Obviously, we offer scholarship for our students also. So we offer them for both overseas Chinese students and also international students. And the duration will be the designated year of study for the program. And we will offer tuition waiver for our students. So whether you're an international student or overseas Chinese student, up to 65,000 NTD per semester. So pretty much for overseas Chinese students, it's going to cover 100% of your tuition fees. For international students, for the majority of the program, it's going to cover 100% of your tuition fees. And for 4 years, or however many years your program runs for, we're going to provide a monthly stipend of 8,000 NTD. So you can use that on whatever you wish to. We do not have any limitation on our scholarship stipends. So obviously, you can also consider a Taiwanese government scholarship as well. That will be offered by the Overseas Community Affairs Council or the Ministry of Education Taiwan. So that was a very quick introduction to NTU, applying to NTU, everything about studying at NTU. If you're interested in learning more, please scan the left side that will lead you to our admission website. And I would also like to ask you to follow us if you're interested in learning more about student life in NTU. So our students will post about their daily life, their classes on their Instagram, and you will get to learn more about what being a student is like at NTU. So whatever question you have today, if we don't manage to get to your question later, you can always email us at admission@ntu.edu.tw.
Okay,
All right, so
thank you
that's
very much,
okay.
Vivian, for the introduction for NTU. I'm going to briefly explain Indonesia so that all of the participants
Okay.
will understand. Okay, before we jump into the study plan and personal statement.
Okay,
Okay,
sounds good.
So, baik Bapak Ibu sekalian, mohon dibantu untuk jangan mencoret-coret layarnya untuk sementara ini. Dan untuk yang telah dijelaskan oleh Miss Vivian tadi barusan adalah mengenai National Taiwan University beserta bagaimana cara pendaftarannya, beasiswa yang tersedia, jurusan yang ada, bahasa pengantar dan jurusan apa aja itu, dan juga semuanya bisa diakses di NTU Admission. Untuk linknya saya sertakan di chat. Berikut saya share di chat. Jadi kalau kalian ada pertanyaan seputar apapun itu, juga bisa dikontak ke Instagram maupun email, karena di email mereka lebih aktif. Boleh disertakan di email ya Bapak Ibu. I'm sorry Vivian, can you move on to, can you move back to the contact information? To the slides of contact information. Baik Bapak Ibu sekalian, untuk sekarang mungkin Miss Vivian ada kendala teknisi. Nah, baik bagi Bapak Ibu sekalian yang ingin mengetahui mengenai bagaimana cara join, cara mendaftar ke NTU maupun cara oke. Baik, di sini boleh di-screenshot ya Bapak Ibu sekalian. Di-screenshot, kita beri waktu 5 detik, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Nah, di sini kalian bisa email di intadmission@ntu.edu.tw untuk pertanyaan apapun itu, dan mungkin pertanyaan akan dijawab dalam kurun waktu 1 sampai 3 hari ya teman-teman sekalian. Oke, sekarang kita akan lanjut ke tips dan trik bagaimana kalian bisa menulis study plan dan personal statement yang sesuai dengan kriteria yang lebih diinginkan lah, atau tips lah dari NTU ini seperti apa. Mari kita simak next session by Vivian juga. Oke, let's jump into the session where Vivian will explain how to write your study plan and personal statement more more good, more like you can write it better than before. And let's jump straight into the session. Thank you, Vivian. You can continue the explanation.
I will talk more about personal statement and study plan. So, we actually receive a lot of application each year from students who have very great scores. But how do we, sometimes it's a little difficult for us to decide because all we see is the transcript, right? And all we see other than the transcript is your personal statement and study plan. So majority of the time, we do not interview our students. So that means it's really hard for us to get a sense of who you are based off your transcript only. So that is where personal statement and study plan become very important. So this is an opportunity for you to share a little bit more about yourself without the process of interviewing or coming to NTU and telling us more about yourself. So I want to tell you that it's very important that you use the space allocated wisely to use that to your advantage to tell us more about yourself. So first, what are personal statement and what is study plan? So I want to mention that this is only how do I say this? Applicable for students applying as overseas Chinese student. If you're applying as overseas Chinese student, these are the two options you'll see. If you're applying as an international student, which I'll go over a little bit later, you might see different wordings. So you might not see personal statement, you might see something like, so I'll show more example later, but it might look different. But if you're applying as an overseas Chinese student, these are the two things you have to submit. So for every department you're applying for, and you can apply up to 5 per university as an overseas Chinese student, right? And for every one of these departments, you need a personal statement and a study plan. So let's get to it. So first, personal statement. This is an opportunity to tell us about yourself and your passion for the program. So why are you a good candidate for NTU's program? What makes you different from other candidates? So this is where you might include some personal background and motivation. So example, you can say that, so for example, if the reason why you want to apply for the civil engineering program, for example, is because you have a background in construction, so when you're younger, maybe you've seen a lot of construction projects and you've always had an interest for that. This will be a good place to put in your passion for the program. So we want to know that you thought clearly about why you want to apply for a program. You're not just applying just for fun. And next, you can also include some academic experiences and achievements. So obviously, these have to be the achievement that link to the program that you're applying for. For example, once again, if you're applying for civil engineering, maybe experiences like piano competition will not be so relevant to your personal statement. But if you're also pretty good at writing, if you also want to use that angle to tell us more about how you're a very dedicated student, maybe you can think about it. But if there's limited amount of space and you have a lot of achievement because
Oke, mari kita tunggu sebentar ya, Bapak Ibu sekalian.
Okay, jumping back in. So academic experience and achievement. Look through everything that you have and sort through the ones that you think are relevant to your personal statement. So do keep in mind that for every single department you apply for, you can submit different personal statement. It does not have to be the same. And if you happen to have a lot of interests, maybe that is the case, that's all right. But I would imagine maybe a personal statement for medicine will look different from a personal statement for, let's say, economics, right? So think about what you are applying for and think carefully about how it relates to your main thesis, which is why you are a good fit for the program. So goals and fit with the program is just to let us know more about why you want to apply for a program. So for a personal statement, you can think a lot about the whys. Why are you applying to NTU? Why are you applying to the program? Why are you applying for Taiwan? So this is a really good place to let us know that you thought long about what you want to apply for. So next, study plan. So study plan is the place where you can tell us about how you envision your years at NTU. So what kind of student will you be and how will NTU help you achieve your goals? So this is where you can show your study objectives. So maybe in your first year, you want to do this. In your second year, you want to utilize resources to do that. And then this is all where you can tell us about the kind of study methods that you want. So maybe I want to take these classes, or I will get involved in these kind of internship. And also this is where you can mention a little bit about your future plans after graduation. So we do realize that for students, it's, for when I was applying to college too, it's very hard for me to envision what the 4 years will look like, let alone what life after graduation will look like. But this is also a place where, you're not signing a contract. You don't have to do every single thing after you come to NTU that you listed here. But I think this is a really good place to be really detailed in showing us that you thought clearly about the program that you're applying for, and you're prepared to do the work after you come to NTU and to get involved and utilize campus resources in such a way. So now we know a little bit more about what personal statement is and what study plan is. Let's jump to some questions to ask yourself to make the writing process a little bit easier. So for personal statement, why do I want to study in Taiwan? Why do I want to study in NTU? And why do I want to apply for this program, for this department? Why am I a good fit for the program? So personal statement, you're asking a lot of why. So you can, try to answer these yourself first and figure out what is a good way to present it in an essay, in a personal statement, or, we don't have any format restrictions. So if you want to add photos, if you want to make it pretty and all that, you are totally welcome to. But these are some questions to ask. So for personal statement, you're asking yourself a lot of whys. So next, for study plan, maybe you can ask yourself, what do I plan to do during my time at NTU? So what kind of classes I want to take? What kind of things I want to do? What do I want to do after graduation? So like I've mentioned before, do you have, even though if it's vague, do you have a goal? And do you envision yourself doing something after graduation? And how can NTU help me reach my goals? So NTU has a lot of resources for our students, and this is a really good place to show that you've done your research. So what kind of opportunities will NTU give me? So that can be internship program, research opportunity, specific classes. We have a lot of renowned professors in different fields. And, I mentioned it before, what kind of resources can I utilize? So for study plan, you've noticed it's a lot of what question, right? So you can try to answer these first and then start to make it into an essay form. All right, so I mentioned before that personal statement and study plan are kind of specific only to overseas Chinese student applying through the recommendation through overseas high school route. If you are applying currently as an international student, you might feel a little confused because it might look different. So for example, this is what I grabbed from our admission website. So these are the application instructions for international students, which is currently ongoing for the English Top program. So you can see here, autobiography in English, study plan in English. And autobiography, I would imagine that is probably pretty similar to personal statement, right? So you can interpret autobiography as personal statement in this case. And here it says an English statement of purpose. So yeah, pretty similar to personal statement. And then they include specific instruction. It needs to include a short autobiography and future goals. So in this case, follow the directions. You don't have to be really, you don't have to get stuck in the, oh, but there's no study plan. So that means I cannot write about my future goal. So just be flexible. And in this case, you can include your goals in your autobiography. So we can see here for this program specifically, there's autobiography, study plan, scholarship essay, and they write out specifically for study plan, it should include future study area, statement of purpose. And I think what I want to say here is that if you're applying as an international student, it's going to look a little different. So just interpret the best you can and know that basically they all want to hear the same thing. All the departments want to hear the same thing. They want to know why you are here, why are you applying, and also what kind of student you will be at NTU. And I think you don't have to get too stuck on, this needs to go in study plan and this needs to go into personal statement, and just be flexible and include everything, be as comprehensive and cohesive as possible. So the main idea is all the same. What can we learn about you beyond your transcripts? So try your best to show us a full-fledged person that's just based on these documents alone. All right, so for some of my tips, so be relevant and get to your point. So in the earlier example I've said, so maybe, we're really happy to see that our students are so active in high school, they're involved in a lot of competition, but also I think the departments, the professors, they all have limited amount of time. So be relevant and get to your point. So all the competitions you've done, select carefully about what's relevant and what's not. And next, start early and take your time. I think a lot of students don't take these seriously, and I think that's probably not the way to go, because when all of our students have good grades, these do matter pretty much in telling us more about who's more motivated, who's more likely to succeed after they come to NTU. And I think just like any other part of your application, these should be pretty important, and you should take your time with your personal statement and your study plan. So yeah. The next one is make sure it looks professional. And what I mean by that is that I've seen students submitting a handwritten personal statement that's later, it was uploaded as a photo taken of handwritten personal statement. And I think in that case, even if the content is very good and it shows a lot of more motivation, if you're putting that up against a student who has a nicely typed up one with, some relevant photos, with everything really neat and easy to read, I think in that case, if there's only, we have limited amount of quota, limited amount of spots. So in that case, I think the student whose essay that looks more professional will receive higher priority, simply because we know that after you come to NTU, you will not be submitting your essay handwritten with the photo taken. You know how to properly type up your stuff. So it sounds simple, but make sure it looks professional. So proofread. So that leads me to the next tip. So proofread. So we all make typos, and that's what part of being professional includes. So proofread, ask your friends to proofread, ask your teacher to proofread, just make sure that everything is smooth and makes sense. So my next two tips connects very relevantly to my last one. So be authentic and be specific. And in order to be authentic and be specific, you have to be careful with ChatGPT, with AI. So I've realized that, we've done it, I've done it, everyone has done it. We've all gone on ChatGPT and we gotten a little help from AI. But what I will say is that it is very obvious with personal statement and with study plan. I can, if you give me 5 essays and just keeping in mind, I think probably the departments who are, doing the ultimate choice of reading all these applications, I'm pretty sure they can tell too. Because if I'm just looking through applications casually, it's very easy for me to tell who has completely ChatGPT their essay. And I will show you an example right here. So this is a plan that I have written after inputting several prompts in ChatGPT. So I typed in, please help me write a study plan for Department of Biotechnology at National Taiwan University. And it asked me, what program are you applying for? What experiences have you had? And also, what do you want to do at NTU? So very dutifully, I also answered some questions in there. And then immediately, I got a full-page essay. And because it was too long, so I also asked ChatGPT to make it shorter so I can show here. So I'm going to give everyone 2 minutes to read through the essay and we can talk about it.
Baik, Bapak Ibu sekalian, boleh dibaca dulu esainya. Ini adalah esai yang dibikin oleh ChatGPT dan Miss Vivian mau jelasin apa sih, gimana sih cara dia bisa ngedetect bikinan ChatGPT sama bikinan sendiri. Jadi bakal dikasih waktu 2 menit, boleh dibaca dulu semuanya, nanti kita bakal bahas lagi bareng-bareng setelah Miss Vivian. Thank you.
Okay, so I think I will jump to the next page. Okay, so let's go line by line. So I am applying to the Department of Biotechnology at National Taiwan University to build a strong foundation in the life sciences and develop the skills necessary for future research and innovation. So my problem, I think the key telling point that tells me that this is AI is that it's not specific at all. So what do you mean by future research and what do you mean by innovation? I think the one telltale sign that ChatGPT has is that it refuses to take a stance. It doesn't stand on something 100% in this case. So if you want to argue with AI, they will never do it 100%. They'll always make it a little bit vague so you're not stuck with one viewpoint entirely. But the problem with that is that with personal statement and with study plan is that we want you to believe in what you're saying. So you need to believe fully in everything that you're writing out, which is why this is a little bit problematic because I don't know what future research means and I don't know what innovation means. All right, so next slide. My interest in biotechnology stemmed from my high school studies in biology, chemistry, physics, and calculus. Yeah, so that was provided by me. So I told ChatGPT that I took a lot of science classes and math classes in high school and I did well. So this is what ChatGPT gave me. So it says study in biology, chemistry, physics, and calculus. So it's great you're listing your classes, but I think this is also where it's a little vague in that you can tell me more about the classes that you've taken. What part of the class makes you want to study biotechnology? So biology is a big field, right? So there must be something that caught your interest that makes you want to study biotechnology specifically. So next line, which strengthened my analytical abilities and curiosity about how biological systems can be applied to solve real-world problems. Once again, that told me nothing. And it's also a little bit problematic because this is what ChatGPT, biology system, think biotechnology is. So if you do a little research into the program, you realize the biotechnology and food nutrition program is not really about biological systems mostly, it's mostly about the cell biology, about food nutrition and all that. So this is what ChatGPT assumes biotechnology is. So one important thing is that I've also done it before, sometimes I'm lazy and I ask ChatGPT a question and it just spews out nonsense to me. And I don't realize that until I read carefully to realize that, it's telling me to go this place first and to go that place. I didn't realize that it's completely made up. Sometimes ChatGPT just make up stuff entirely to you, and they're very confident about it too. So be really careful when you're proofreading your stuff. All right, let's go on to second paragraph. So at NTU, I look forward to exploring molecular biology, genetics, biochemistry, and related fields. What do you mean by related fields? I think if you're doing research into your studies, you can tell me exactly what kind of field you want to go into. And then through both coursework and laboratory practice, I'm eager to participate in research projects that will help me discover my specific area of interest and how to apply theoretical knowledge to practical challenges. So here, ChatGPT has just defined research to me. And that's a little difficult because you have also told me nothing. So actually at NTU, all of our departments are very, they all have their own websites. And then a lot of time the professors have their own websites. So that means the labs themselves have their own websites. So you can actually do a little research to learn more about the labs instead of redefining the definition of research to me. You can do a little more and show me that you are not a robot, right? So third paragraph, I hope to engage in student organizations and seminars that encourage collaboration, scientific communication, and global perspectives. We have provided you with enough resources that you should know specifically what you can name. So if you want to engage in Indonesian Student Association as, as an officer, as something like that, this is a place where you can name drop things. You can name drop clubs, you can name drop labs, you can name drop professors even. So whatever you're interested in, let me know that you've done your research and that you are, you're not just typing a prompt into ChatGPT. So last paragraph, after graduation, I plan to pursue advanced studies or research in biotechnology and or related areas, contributing to innovation that improve health, agriculture, and the environment. So yeah, same problem as before. That has told me nothing about yourself. It's very vague. It's not specific at all. And this is where, and do keep in mind that for us, we see hundreds of applications, right? And then I'm afraid ChatGPT just isn't that creative enough to come up with different variation of the same study plan for every single one. So maybe to you, if you're just typing in a prompt, it's gonna sound, it's gonna sound pretty good, especially if even if you're typing the prompt, you give them specific details and whatever, it's very easy to spot when it's lined up with other essays produced by ChatGPT. So how do you use ChatGPT carefully? So I'm definitely not telling you to not use it at all, but I think the best way to go about it is that the very first draft, at least, it has to come from you. If you want to ask ChatGPT to, to spot any spelling mistake, to do the proofreading part, you're welcome to do that. I think that's fine. But the first part, meaning the research part, the outlining, the planning, and then the writing out stuff part, I think if it comes from you, even if it goes through ChatGPT later for polishing and proofreading, it's going to read as a lot, way more authentic than just telling ChatGPT for a prompt. Also, just a tip I suddenly thought of that I think is really indicative of ChatGPT is that sometimes they bold things for you that they think is important. And a lot of our students just submit the whole thing without, cleaning up the format. And then I think it's very easy to spot for me because random words, what ChatGPT think is important, are just randomly bolded. So do look out for that as well. So what can you do instead of just typing in a prompt, help me write my personal statement? So first, utilize department website. They have a lot of information. If you just, whatever department you're interested in, go there right now, look through it, you'll realize there's so much information. There's information about the professors, their research, the kind of classes you're required to take, the alumni, also what kind of conferences are students participating in lately. So there's a lot of information on the department website. So next, do your own research. So just go to all the websites. So the internship program I was talking about earlier, the NTU International Mentorship Program. You can also do research about that. So you can go look at the companies you're interested in, and you can talk about how NTU can help you get an internship in Taiwan. So next, read admission guidelines carefully. So I think through admission guideline, you're gonna so get a better idea of what we want to see in autobiography and personal statement. And it might be called something else, right? So you want to read the admission guideline carefully to know what you have to submit. So the next tip is maybe you can talk to a current student. If you don't know any, so obviously you're not there yet, so you don't know the experience of studying at NTU. But if you talk to a current student, maybe you'll get a better idea of what kind of activities and resources you can use at NTU. Follow directions, same as before. If you're applying as an international student, the directions might sound a little bit different. Just make sure you follow directions. And next, so very important, brainstorm on your own. Use ChatGPT later, whatever, it's fine. But the first draft should come from you. I think it makes a big difference if the original ideas come from your head. So that leads me back to the the big part is that you need to put in the effort. So I think, our office itself and the professors themselves are using up a lot of time to read your application, which is why you should spend more time on application than people reading them are on your application. So put in the effort, and I think it's really going to show. You're going to sound a lot more authentic, and you're going to sound a lot more yourself compared to other students. And that can be a really big advantage when there are so many essays that don't do that. All right, so what I want to say is that it sounds like a lot of work, and it should be, but then I think ultimately the effort is going to pay off. So if you just put in the effort to do all that, I think it's really going to make a big difference. And so now I'm speaking from, the admission perspective, and now we will hear from a student. So Talia is going to share about her experiences studying at NTU and also her own tips and tricks from her perspective about, you know, about applying. So I will leave the stage to Talia.
Thank you very much, Miss Vivian. Sambil menunggu Miss Talia untuk share screen-nya, aku bantu rangkumin penjelasan Miss Vivian dari awal. Jadi ini adalah tips dan trik yang benar-benar berdaging banget ya. Soalnya ini kalau misalnya aku ikut webinar ini sebelum aku daftar ke Taiwan, aku bakal terima kasih banget. Soalnya dari tadi Miss Vivian udah bilang kalian harus do research tentang departmentnya yang dulu aku nggak pernah lakuin. Dan dulu karena belum ada ChatGPT, itu yang membuat aku lebih susah. Dan juga kalian harus proofread ke teman-teman, itu juga perlu banget. Dan yang ketiga yang mungkin tips yang ngena banget itu kalian tetap harus tanya-tanya ke kakak kelas yang udah sekolah di sekolah impian kalian supaya kalian tahu, oh apa aja sih yang perlu disiapin dan lain-lain. Nah, sekarang kita langsung dengerin langsung gimana sih kehidupan real life di NTU dari Thalia, Indonesian students yang sekarang jurusannya biochemistry ya. Nanti kita kenalan bareng sama Thalia. Yuk sekarang, silakan Thalia.
Halo, jadi untuk sesi ini aku akan ngomong dalam bahasa Indo ya. Jadi selamat malam semuanya Bapak Ibu dan teman-teman sekalian. Jadi aku bakal sharing tentang gimana sih kayak kuliah aku selama di NTU. Jadi pertama-tama nama aku Thalia dan aku berasal dari Bandung. Aku belajar Biochemical Science and Technology dan sekarang udah year 3 naik year 4. Jadi sekarang lagi di tahun terakhir. Terus jadi pertama kayak kenapa aku pilih untuk sekolah ke Taiwan. Pertama dulu aku karena pengen belajar Mandarin tentunya, terus aku kayak pengen untuk ngerasa coba untuk hidup mandiri jauh dari keluarga. Jadi kayak pengen belajar sendiri lah, kayak mandiri. Terus aku juga kayak pengen kenalan banyak orang dari yang punya different background sama culture. Dan juga kayak aku cari negara yang punya friendly dan supportive environment buat belajar. Dan itu betul ditemukan di Taiwan. Terus kalau mungkin kayak teman-teman kayak khawatir kalau ada language barrier, kalau misalnya jurusan aku full Chinese talk program, tapi PPT-nya tuh masih pakai Inggris dan textbooknya juga masih pakai Inggris, meski cuman dosennya yang ada pakai Mandarin. Tapi waktu itu emang aku semester satu adaptasinya tuh kayak ya kayak berusaha mengerti dosen ngomong apa. Terus dulu aku kayak belajar sendiri dari textbooknya dan PPT-nya dan akhirnya berhasil juga. Terus karena ujiannya pakai Inggris jadi itu ngebantu banget. Dan kalau misalnya nggak ngerti bisa nanya ke dosen juga. Jadi kayak masih aman. Terus lama-lama karena makin banyak exposure untuk belajar Chinese, terus kayak ngobrol sama teman-teman sejurusan, akhirnya juga kayak bakal improve. Jadi kalau misalnya kalian ngerasa Chinese kalian kurang bagus atau masih belum terlalu lancar, kayak nggak apa-apa. Kayak kita bisa belajar, kayak ini proses gitu sama kuliah di Taiwan. Terus aku mungkin kayak mau sharing kayak beberapa kelas yang menurut aku kayak seru, kayak kenapa di NTU ini kayak lumayan sangat fasilitasnya bagus banget buat belajar berbagai macam. Jadi waktu semester kemarin tuh aku kayak ada ikut kelas di culture, itu basically kita kayak belajar banyak tentang teh-teh di Taiwan, udah gitu waktu itu dosennya juga bawa kita sampai ke kebunan teh, terus kayak kita coba-coba berbagai jenis teh di Taiwan, yang mungkin kayak sebelumnya aku kayak banyak yang nggak tahu kayak jenis-jenis teh, habis kelas ini jadi kayak tahu. Terus selanjutnya kayak kelas A yang aku suka dari jurusan aku ada microbiology lab. Jadi kita kayak ya belajar tentang banyak bakteri, terus kita lihat coba reaksinya kayak gimana. Terus yang ketiga yang aku suka banget karena di NTU ini sangat diverse, jadi dia juga nyediain banyak banget kelas bahasa. Mulai dari Jerman, Jepang, Prancis, semuanya ada. Terus jadi kayak mungkin kalau dulu kayak kita nggak ada kesempatan untuk belajar bahasa asing lain selain Inggris sama Mandarin, bisa banget belajar di NTU. Terus yang terakhir aku ada sharing kelas yang dulu kayak kita bikin online session sama anak-anak SD dari berbagai seluruh Taiwan. Terus kita kayak sharing culture, kayak aku sharing tentang Indo. Dan gitu partner aku orang Taiwan dan dia bakal kayak bantu translate. Dan gitu kayak kita suka ada trip ke sekolah-sekolahnya, jadi kayak kita bisa kenal sama murid-murid sana. Dan gitu kayak ya kayak melakukan banyak aktivitas seru lah. Terus bisa kenalan sama orang-orang dari negara-negara lain juga. Jadi menurut aku kalau buat kayak kenalan banyak orang itu kayak cocok banget kayak kuliah di NTU. Terus ini kayak aku sharing beberapa kayak yang di sini tuh waktu aku ikut join club di NTU karena di NTU ini banyak klub. Dan waktu itu kita masuk ke NTU yang Club International Students. Kita kayak kampung-kampungnya tuh kayak orang Taiwan. Terus kita juga sebagai orang inter, kita bisa bikin event buat ngenalin culture Indo ke orang-orang negara lain. Jadi waktu itu kita bikin event terus kayak masa tumpeng bareng terus akhirnya seneng banget lah kayak ngeliat kayak orang-orang dari Jepang, dari US, dari Jerman itu kayak mereka kayak cobain makan Indo terus kayak kita semua happy gitu. Terus lagi pas Imlekan itu waktu itu kayak aku kan kayak waktu winter nggak balik tapi kayak nggak terlalu kesepian juga soalnya NTU juga kayak nyediain kayak Lunar New Year buat orang-orang overseas dan inter jadi kita dapet makan-makan terus itu dapat kayak dikasih ampau juga kayak voucher ya pokoknya seru. Terus ini aku pernah ikut camp dari jurusan. Jadi kayak waktu itu kita bikin camp buat anak SD. Terus ngajarin mereka banyak kayak lab. Terus kita pergi ke Taipei Zoo juga kayak ke kebun binatang. Terus dari overseas sendiri juga nyediain banyak kegiatan. Waktu itu kita kayak hiking bareng di Ilan. Jadi kayak berbagai overseas Chinese dari Malai, terus dari Hong Kong sama Indo. Itu kita kayak pergi bareng-bareng rame-rame, terus hiking kayak gathering bareng. Terus ada juga kayak department field trip. Jadi aku sama teman-teman jurusan aku waktu itu kayak kita pergi Kauro, kayak kita pergi barbecue sayur gitu di sawah dan itu seru banget. Terus ada kayak sports day. Jadi kalau misalnya kalian suka olahraga nih kayak oke banget karena hampir semua olahraga ada pertandingannya juga dan ada kelas-kelasnya juga yang bisa kalian ikutin di sini. Terus yang terakhir ini waktu itu aku jadi NT ikut orientation. Jadi kalau kalian anak baru nanti masuk NTU, kita bakal ada kayak MPLS-nya lah. Jadi kayak kita bakal main game, terus kayak biar lebih kenal sama NTU dan juga kenal teman-teman yang lain. Oke, terus next seperti yang tadi ada di sharing Vivian kayak tentang NTU IMP itu internship lagi pas summer program. Itu aku coba untuk daftar dan karena jurusan aku yang backgroundnya science, tapi aku pengen coba untuk kerja gimana sih rasanya aku kerja di bidang yang lebih sosial. Jadi waktu itu aku coba apply di Jane Goodall Institute dan dia tuh kayak suatu organisasi NGO yang berhubungan dengan alam. Dan waktu itu kita kayak ada sekolah dan kita kayak surfing di sekolah itu terus kayak ngajak anak-anaknya. Udah gitu kita kayak study tour ke gunung, ke pantai, ini kayak bersih-bersih pantai, terus kayak hiking. Dan aku kayak belajar banyak dari sana kayak working culture NGO di Taiwan tuh kayak gimana. Terus kayak apa sih bedanya pendidikan di Taiwan sama Indo itu yang bisa aku belajar. Terus next ini kayak orang Indo yang di NTU ini kita punya organisasi namanya NTU ISA, di mana kayak kita biasanya ngadain event dari awal kalian datang ini kita bakal ngelakuin kayak penjemputan, kita bantu kalian check in dorm, udah gitu bantu kayak ngurus registrasi student ID, udah gitu kita juga ada kayak camp kayak di mana kalian bisa ketemu bareng kakak dekel gitu, terus kayak nginep 2 harian di luar kota, udah gitu kita ada juga kayak acara-acara lain kayak Halloween, Christmas. Terus lagi pas terakhir graduation juga kayak kita bakal ada eventnya. Jadi kayak tenang aja kayak kalian di NTU ini kayak nggak bakal ngerasa sendirian karena ada teman-temannya. Terus omong terakhir aku kayak apa sih yang aku rasain sama belajar di NTU ini? Yang pertama tentu aja aku ngerasa lingkungannya tuh sangat ramah. Kayak aku merasa orang-orang di sini sangat ramah, kayak willing to help. Terus jadi kayak meskipun aku jauh dari rumah, terus aku kayak sendirian di sini, aku ngerasa gak kesepian karena orang-orangnya kayak baik-baik dan open. Terus yang kedua aku ngerasa di Taiwan ini sangat kayak convenient buat pergi kemana-mana, kayak transport. Terus di lingkungan kampus juga kayak banyak 7-Eleven, Family Mart, kayak supermarket gitu. Jadi kita kayak kalau mau nyari makan juga kayak gampang. Terus ngerasa kayak banyak kayak ada kesempatan buat belajar dan untuk ke arahnya ke depannya kita kerja mau kayak gimana bisa lewat intern, bisa juga lewat exchange. Terus yang terakhir aku bisa ketemu banyak orang dari different country sama budaya, terus jadi temenan gitu sama mereka. Jadi pertama next kayak aku apply NTU ini dari mana? Jadi waktu itu aku apply dari rekomendasi Capsec jalur overseas. Dan aku kayak mau ngasih kayak beberapa tips personal statement dan study plan untuk daftar ke NTU. Jadi untuk personal statement yang pertama tentu aja untuk pendaftaran kalian buat untuk menjadi diri sendiri dan untuk kayak explain kayak kenapa sih kalian ini adalah orang yang cocok untuk kuliah di NTU. Dan kalau study plan itu intinya kayak apa yang kalian ingin belajar selama kalian kuliah di sini. Dan juga yang terakhir ada recommendation letters. Jadi kalau bisa kayak kalian bisa cari guru yang misalnya kalian mau daftar jurusan engineering, mungkin kalian bisa cari guru yang mengajar kayak fisika atau enggak kayak misalnya chemical engineering boleh cari guru kimia dan fisika. Jadi jangan mungkin contohnya kalian mau apply engineering tapi kalian minta rekomendasi guru dari guru yang ngajar ekonomi. Itu kan ada tidak spesifik. Jadi kalau bisa cari yang related gurunya. Terus kalau untuk personal statement tips aku kayak bikinnya 1 sampai max 2 halaman karena biasanya para dosen itu kan banyak banget ya kayak mereka harus baca banyak. Jadi kalau misalnya lebih compact itu lebih better. Terus kayak dalam 2 halaman itu kalian harus kayak usahakan untuk ngejelasin kayak semuanya yang kalian tentang kalian. Pertama kayak kenapa sih kayak kalian adalah murid yang bagus. Terus kalian bisa jelasin dengan spesifik kayak experience kalian dan kayak pencapaian kalian. Terus kayak apa sih yang kalian belajar dari experience kalian itu kayak menjadi kayak diri kalian sendiri dan jangan kayak sampai melebih-lebihkan atau malah kayak ngarang-ngarang itu jangan. Tapi kayak ceritakan kayak sesuai kalian aja. Terus yang kedua, kalian bisa untuk outline ide kalian. Jadi kayak strukturnya tuh jelas mungkin dari introduction, terus dari baru konten, terus yang terakhir adalah closing. Jangan jadi kayak misalnya paragraf pertama ini aku jelasin tentang perkenalan diri. Terus tiba-tiba aku jelasin tentang bahasa. Jadi gitu yang paragraf ketiga aku jelasin tentang kayak kenapa aku mau jurusan ini. Terus yang paragraf keempat aku balik ke bahasa lagi. Itu jadi kayak kurang jelas strukturnya. Terus jadi kayak mungkin bikin orang yang bahasa tuh kayak pusing ya. Kayak nggak jelas gitu. Jadi kalau bisa kalian bikin sejelas mungkin kayak paragraf 1 jelasin tentang apa, paragraf 2 jelasin tentang apa gitu. Terus yang tiga, make it relevant. Jadi kayak misalnya kalian mau apply ke jurusan bio. Jadi kalian bisa misalnya kayak, oh aku pernah ikut lomba bio. Kamu bisa masukin kayak, aku pernah ikut lomba bio. Terus aku kayak ngelakuin apa aja di lomba itu. Dan kayak kontribusi apa yang, dan experience apa yang kamu dapat dari situ. Terus kalau misalnya terakhir juga kayak jangan bikin kayak SKS gitu. Jangan kayak bikin, misalnya kalian daftar ini deadline kalian lihat, oh masih minggu depan. Masih kan 3 bulan lagi. Jadi kalian bikinnya kayak, oh Hamin 2 minggu gitu. Itu kayak lumayan last minute kan. Kalau dulu aku bikin sih kayak aku bikin berapa lama karena itu butuh brainstorming juga kan ya. Kayak kita butuh brainstorming untuk kayak nentuin idenya gimana, flow-nya gimana, dan tentunya butuh berkali-kali double check kayak grammar dan spelling. Kadang tuh dulu aku kan waktu buat baca ChatGPT aku bikin sendiri terus aku tuh minta kayak banyak masukan dari orang lain. Jadi aku bikin draft pertama. Habis itu setelah bikin draft pertama nih aku baca-baca ulang nih terus kayak oh kayaknya ada yang kurang di sini ya kurang di situ aku revisi setelah aku ngerasa udah bagus mungkin menurut aku udah bagus tapi belum tentu menurut orang lain bagus jadi aku cari mungkin kayak ortu aku suruh minta aku baca kayak kayak pah mah kayak bisa tolong bacain nggak kayak menurut papa gimana gimana ya terus nanti ortu aku kayak kasih aku masukan lagi aku kayak oh bener juga aku kayak mulai ganti habis itu mulai ganti-ganti terus oh dari ortu juga udah nih. Terus mungkin kalian ngerasa kayak kayaknya belum cukup ya masukannya. Bisa nanya kayak ke guru kalian atau mungkin ke teman kalian. Jadi kayak mungkin nanya kayak beberapa perspektif gitu akhirnya buat bikin final version personal statement kalian. Jadi kalau bisa mulai dari jauh-jauh hari jangan buru-buru gitu. Terus yang juga kayak double check grammar dan spelling kadang tuh ada kayak typo-typo gitu itu lumayan kayak kalau misalnya kita baca kayak oh kok typo gitu kan jadi kayak kurang enak dibacanya jadi kalau bisa jangan sampai ada kayak grammar dan incorrect spelling kayak terus mungkin ini aku kasih beberapa contoh kayak pertama kayak mungkin kalian bisa bilang oh aku ini orangnya tanggung jawab dan hardworking tapi itu sangat general dan kayak semua orang bisa ngomong kayak gitu jadi kalian kalau bisa harus spesifik mungkin dari experience kalian misalnya kayak oh aku di sekolah ini kayak kuliah part time sama aku punya banyak part time job sama bikin banyak PR aku terus aku kayak belajar apa aku bisa belajar untuk manage my time better tapi masih juga kayak commit to my goals jadi kayak ini lebih spesifik karena relate untuk kepada experience kalian kan jadi kayak lebih unik daripada kalian cuma ngomong kayak oh aku orangnya bertanggung jawab dan sangat hardworking terus yang kedua ini bisa bilang kayak aku orangnya kayak punya bisa bekerja sama dengan baik tapi kayak nggak ada contohnya gitu kayak kalian kalau bisa kayak kasih contoh misalnya yang kayak oh aku pernah ikut lomba kayak bikin project terus kayak berantem temen aku terus kayak aku jadi belajar komunikasi efektif terus kayak gimana caranya untuk bikin ide ini untuk lebih bagus terus ini juga sama kayak daripada cuman bilang aku orang yang kreatif kamu bisa kayak jelasin kayak the experience kalian solusinya kayak gimana terus kayak bisa kayak untuk passionate juga bisa bilang kayak kalian passionate start dari mana dan apa yang kalian lakukan untuk melatih passion itu. Terus next kayak untuk study plan yang pertama untuk tentu aja harus jelas kayak apa yang kamu mau belajar di kuliah dan kayak kenapa. Kamu bisa connect untuk masa lalu kalian dan masa depan. Jadi kamu bisa hubungin academic background kalian atau enggak kayak experience yang bisa untuk kayak ngelit untuk kenapa kalian untuk memilih untuk belajar jurusan ini. Kayak misalnya aku dulu pilih jurusan biochem. Jadi waktu SMA tuh aku emang bilang aku ikut lomba biologi. Terus aku kayak seneng belajar bio. Terus aku jelasin kayak kenapa aku seneng belajar bio itu start dari mana. Kayak pasti ada pemicunya. Terus yang ketiga bisa untuk lebih spesifik untuk jelasin tentang university dan program yang kalian mau. Jadi kalau aku dulu bisa research dari website jurusan, aku research kayak belajar apa aja sih nanti aku, terus kayak dosen-dosennya itu kayak research tentang apa, dan kayak aku bisa bilang kayak, oh aku tertarik belajar ini, course ini, dan kayak aku tertarik untuk research ini. Jadi lebih spesifik tuh bakal lebih bagus. Terus ada juga kayak kamu bisa outline kayak apa yang kalian ingin belajar selama kuliah. Misalnya kayak aku tertarik ambil kelas ini atau tertarik kelas ini. atau mungkin kayak join klub atau aku pengen intern, itu boleh banget ditulis juga. Terus tentu aja ada long term goals. Jadi misalnya kalian habis lulus ini bakal kehidupan kuliah kalian ini bakal ngelit ke arah mana. Jadi kalian bisa jelasin kalau misalnya mungkin kalian mau S2 atau kalian mau kerja di Taiwan atau kerja dimanapun, kalian bisa include itu juga di study plan kalian. Terus nih kalau ada three golden questions to study plan, jadi kayak pertama, kenapa kalian mau belajar jurusan ini? Terus apa yang kalian bakal lakukan selama studi? Terus apa yang kalian bakal lakukan setelah graduation? Kayak kayak impact apa yang bisa kalian perbuat gitu habis lulus. Terus kayak kalau kakak contoh mungkin kamu bisa bilang kalau aku pengen menjadi ilmuwan tuh kayak kurang spesifik, kayak kayak sangat general. Jadi kayak bisa bilang kayak aku pengen jadi scientist yang develop gimana gimana gimana. Terus kayak kenapa motivasi apa yang motivasi aku untuk research ini, dan itu bisa di-include juga. Terus tentu juga kalian bisa include kayak kenapa harus NTU. Kayak mungkin kalian bisa highlight kayak NTU ini kayak kuat di mananya, terus kayak misalnya kayak high ranking, atau nggak kayak ada program NTU yang bikin kalian tertarik untuk daftar. Terus juga bisa juga include lab kayak research opportunities, misalnya kalian tertarik kayak intern di sini yang cuma disediakan di sini, kalian bisa include juga. Dan itu juga aku bisa waktu itu include kayak culture karena aku kayak tertarik sama diversity, jadi aku juga waktu itu kayak tulis kayak aku kayak pengen coba hidup di lingkungan yang diverse. Oke, terus sekian dari aku. Jadi kalau misalnya mau reach out, kayak boleh banget tanya-tanya juga. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Talia. Sangat membantu banget ya, guys. Ini salah satu kakak kelas kalian. Kalau bagi kalian semua yang mau join Biochemical BST, jurusan BST, boleh banget langsung kontak Talia. Kalian bisa find di Instagram dan langsung connect, oke? Nah, sekarang sorry sebentar. Sambil eh, tunggu pertanyaan semuanya kekumpul, kita bakal melakukan yang namanya sesi foto bersama. Oke, bagi para peserta sekalian boleh dibantu untuk menyalakan kameranya. Kita bakal berfoto bersama. Aku bakal stop share dulu. Bagi para peserta 203 partisipan nih. Wow, terima kasih semuanya yang masih menyimak dengan baik. Boleh banget langsung dinyalakan kameranya. Oke, saya masih kasih waktu 1 menit sambil saya cek bagaimana supaya bisa. Oke. Bagi yang belum menyalakan kamera, boleh dibantu menyalakan kameranya semuanya dulu ya. Oke. Ask to start video. Baik, sambil menunggu yang lain nyalain kamera, aku foto dulu nih layar pertama. Oke, baik. Karena kalian tidak tahu kalian berada di layar keberapa, aku bantu screenshot. Mohon ditahan senyumnya selama 1 menit ke depan. Oke, 1, 2, 3 layar untuk layar pertama 1, 2, 3. Oke, untuk layar kedua 1, 2, 3. Layar ketiga 1, 2, 3. Dan layar terakhir 1, 2, 3. Oke, baik. Terima kasih semua Bapak Ibu sekalian yang udah menyalakan kamera. Kita jangan leave dulu karena kita masih ada sesi yang lebih berdaging yaitu question and answer. Banyak kali pertanyaan-pertanyaan kreatif yang sudah saya baca ini ya di layar saya, dan bagi para peserta yang masih memiliki pertanyaan boleh banget drop your question di kolom di Slido atau saya akan chat lagi. Oke. Nah, di sini boleh di-drop ya pertanyaannya ya, teman-teman sekalian. Without further ado, we're going to kita bakal nah, pertanyaan. Nah, sistemnya ini saya bantu jelasin dulu. Kalau pertanyaan kalian, banyak pertanyaan yang udah ditanyain sama teman lain. Supaya pertanyaan tidak berulang, bagi kalian yang mempunyai pertanyaan yang sama dengan apa yang sudah ada, boleh di thumbs up ya, teman-teman. Di thumbs up, ada di thumbs up ini. Kalau menurut kalian pertanyaan relate dan harus dijawab, karena keterbatasan waktu, kita akan menjawab beberapa pertanyaan, karena itu pertanyaan yang paling relevan ke banyak orang akan kita jawab terlebih dahulu. Oke, baik. Untuk pertanyaan pertama, let's jump into the first question. Could you explain the steps to apply a scholarship NTU? Okay, maybe
Okay,
Miss.
so
Thank
yes,
you.
so it's very simple. It's tied to your admission. So when you're applying to NTU, there's gonna be a box that says, "Do you also wish to apply for scholarship?" So all you have to do is to check the box yes, and you're also applying for the scholarship.
Baik, aku bantu jelasin dalam bahasa Indonesia. Untuk pendaftaran ini sangat mudah karena itu ada terikat dengan pendaftaran kalian. Jadi saat kalian melakukan pendaftaran di formulir itu akan ada pertanyaan, apakah kalian mau mendaftar ke scholarship atau beasiswa? Kalian tinggal centang, nanti sistemnya akan mendeteksi dan mensortir siapa aja yang mau mendapatkan beasiswa dan nanti akan diberikan ke kalian sesuai dengan persyaratan NTU, seperti itu. Kita lanjut ke berikutnya. For overseas Chinese student application through high school recommendation, what is the minimum required high school average score?
We don't have a minimum required score.
Oke, tidak ada minimum ya teman-teman sekalian. Akan dirata-rata dengan teman-teman kalian yang lain. The next one. I'm interested to take visual arts for my undergraduate study. Do you have tips regarding portfolios? Do I have to briefly describe about the artworks I made?
So I'm assuming you're gonna be applying to NTNU, so that's where the visual art department is at. So because we don't have visual art ourselves, so I can't speak to it specifically. If you ask, you probably will know more detailed information, but I would imagine it's the same. Maybe it'll be a little helpful to, include a little brief, maybe like the material you used, the when it was created and all that. But yes, so please let them know. So maybe they have different regulations.
Okay, I will translate it in Indonesia. Untuk visual art design ini yang mungkin di-refer ke NTNU ya, National Taiwan Normal University. Nah, untuk di sini karena kita fokusnya lebih ke NTU, boleh ditanyakan juga ke website sekolah NTNU. Tapi rata-rata tetap sarannya dari Miss Vivian adalah untuk stay be yourself dan tunjukkan apa yang seharusnya ditunjukkan seperti itu. The next one, hi, what's up? So to apply for Chinese Talk program, can you also use HSK or is it only TUCFL because I'm still not sure? Thanks.
HSK is okay, level 4 at least.
Okay, the next one is, how can I talk to alumni or current students at NTU? I will help to answer this. You can straight to contact Thalia or you can just talk into NTUISA Instagram and you can find the following and then you can straight just hit the DM. Okay, so we have a bunch of organization online. You can just look it into Instagram because Instagram is more common. And if you use Facebook, it's more helpful because in Taiwan, they are really familiar using Facebook. Yes, okay, the next question. Hi, I'm applying to an English sub program and am I required to write an SOP? Are these tips also applicable in creating statement of purpose?
Yes, I think statement of purpose, you can think of it as personal statement. And if in that program you're applying for, you don't see any study plan, you can also put elements of your study plan in your statement of purpose. So you can think of it as pretty similar to personal statement, yes.
Okay, for the next one, does NTU consider only the relevant high school subject score or the overall average high school score for admission to department?
We look at everything, so we do look at the relevant scores too.
Okay, the next one, will there be any sort of interview we'll need to do if we want to get a scholarship?
It depends on the department. So if so it's all written out on the application website. So if the requirement requires it, then they'll stay. But mostly for undergraduate, you don't have interviews.
Okay, the next question is for Talia. Kak Talia, kesulitan dan kekurangan waktu awal-awal masuk ke NTU apa ya? What is the hardship and how you manage your time when you first come into the NTU, when you got into NTU?
Jadi waktu dulu aku kagetnya karena SMA sama kuliah tuh beda. Jadi waktu itu aku transisi dan waktu itu kebetulan SMA aku COVID. Jadi online. Jadi waktu itu transisi kayak dari online ke offline ya susahnya kayak harus belajarnya tuh beda mungkin sama cara belajar waktu online. Terus aku juga karena language barrier, jadi karena aku dulu nggak ngerti dosen ngomong apa, jadi aku belajar sendiri dari textbook PPT, dari YouTube, kalau nggak kayak tanya teman jurusan. Itu aja sih. Terus itu berlangsung, aku adaptasi mungkin setelah semester 2 udah mulai mendingan. Jadi bisa kok. Ya.
Oke, semoga menjawab ya. Terima kasih Kak Talia. The next one is, what is the recommended amount of words or pages in both personal statement and study plan? And what do university want to hear the most about us from both?
I think pages, it doesn't have to be too long, too short. So maybe 1 page, 2 page, as long as you're expressing yourself, I think 1 page, 2 page is fine. And personal statement, why Taiwan, why NTU, why the program, study plan, what do you want to do at NTU?
Okay, the next one is, what parameters does the admission committee look for in a biography and study plan to land a scholarship?
Yeah, so our scholarships are all merit-based. So what you want to do through your essays is that to show that you are the best candidate for the program.
And what should a master's student's biography and study plan focus on, and how do they analyze if the student is worth a scholarship or not? I think is the same as the question before, so we're
But
gonna skip this.
yeah, so I do have a tip for master's students. So I think for a graduate student, the focus is a lot more on research because at that point you should be involved in undergraduate research. So this is where you can be even more specific than undergraduate application because for high school students, they really have, you know, so much research experience to talk about. But I think for a master's student, you're going to have a lot more specific. So it's even more important for you to be specific if you're a master's student.
Okay, thank you very much. For the next one, untuk masuk jurusan computer science, for applying to computer science, if I have a certificate of the first champion of a competition, but it's about sociology, should I include it in my application, in my personal statement?
I think you can juggle that yourself. If you have other achievement that's more relevant, more important, you should definitely write about that first. But if you really do want to include the sociology achievement, then you have to think about how that relates to your central thesis of that you are a good student. Yeah, so write about it smartly, and maybe if you have other things to write about, prioritize first.
Baik, I will help to translate. Untuk apabila memang gak ada sertifikat lain yang lebih relate atau lebih berhubungan dengan computer science, maka boleh diinkludkan, tapi perlu diingat kalau kamu menginkludkan sertifikat itu, kamu juga harus menghubungkan apa yang kamu tunjukkan. Misal, oh aku dapat juara 1 ini, aku menunjukkan kalau aku ini student yang aktif loh, aku ikut lomba. Jadi nggak harus semuanya relate ke computer science, tapi harus ada alasan kenapa kamu menginkludkan itu, seperti itu. Okay, for the next one. Can you give us an example of personal statement and study plan?
So it's a
I think
Yeah, so we can't do that now, but you are, if you reach out to current student, if they're nice enough, maybe they'll show you. But I'll tell you that I've seen a lot and they come in all different formats. So you don't really have to get stuck in, this is what I need to do to get admitted. Just make sure you are authentic and you answer all the questions, and I think that will be a good essay.
okay, for the next question. Misalnya saya daftar, if I apply through overseas Chinese and international, and I got accepted in both of the, I got accepted from both, and can I choose one of them or how does it work?
You have to choose one. So if you get accepted as both, you will choose one, and just keep in mind that status will stick with you through your entire time in Taiwan. So let's say you want to apply for master in Taiwan, but you were an overseas Chinese student as an undergrad, you can't magically become an international student suddenly. So once you choose a status, you will stay as that status.
Baik, saya bantu translate. Untuk pendaftaran ini kalau diterima di keduanya, maka kalian harus pilih salah satu. Tapi perlu diingat, status ini kalian bawa dari kalian pertama kali datang ke Taiwan sampai lulus. Misal kalian S1, statusnya adalah international student, dan mau daftar ke S2, mau jadi status overseas Chinese, itu nggak bisa ya. Begitu pula sebaliknya, status tidak bisa berganti. Okay, for the next question. How to create outstanding personal statement and study plan if we use AI to help us? How we can use it without AI detected? Ini sudah dijelaskan. This one already explained with Miss Vivian before. Is that correct? Or if Miss
Yes.
Vivian want to add
Yes.
something?
So start without AI first, and then if you wanted to use it to polish up, sure. But I think start by your own effort, own research first.
Okay, for the next one, should we make scholarship essay if we want to apply for scholarship?
It depends on the department. Some department requires one, some doesn't.
The next one, tips untuk memahami apa yang dikatakan dosen kalau masih belum terlalu mampu Mandarin. This question probably from for Thalia. What is the tips to understand what the teacher said if you're not really good at Chinese?
Oke, jadi dulu waktu awal-awal karena banyak technical words yang aku nggak ngerti tentang bio. Pertama, jadi kalau misalnya aku dengar dosen ngomong, misalnya contohnya Li Xianti, aku kayak nggak tahu Li Xianti itu apa. Jadi aku cari Perko, kayak aku tulis pinginnya Li Xianti. Terus tuh kayak nanti keluar mitochondria artinya. Terus biasanya tuh karena technical words itu diulang-ulang. Jadi lama-lama kayak kita kebiasaan denger dan setelah kita tahu artinya, jadi bisa ngerti juga lama-lama. Kayak atau nggak mungkin kalian bisa bikin vocabulary list juga, kayak technical words. Misalnya kalian dengar ada vocab baru ini, terus kalian cari artinya di Poeko, kalian bisa kayak tulis, terus nanti review. Jadi lama-lama kayak itu bakalan nambah vocab kalian juga.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Thalia. The next one is the question that is for, so HSK4 is enough to attend a Chinese law program?
I think like Talia answered before, it depends a lot on the program itself. I would imagine it's a lot easier for a STEM program. As she mentioned before, a lot of the slides, homework, tests are in English. It could be slightly more difficult if it's like, law. So I think you can, kind of think about that yourself. But for majority of program, we require HSK4. And we have plenty of students who come in with HSK4.
Dan aku juga dulu ISS Corpor pas lagi datang ke sini.
Ya, jadi possible ya teman-teman. Okay, for the next one. Does NTU have many quota for master scholarship? I'm currently looking for a fully funded master degree scholarship.
For master's student, we don't have scholarship, at least like the OIA, the Office of International Affairs. We don't have scholarship for overseas Chinese student for master's students. So you will apply as international students, and we do offer a pretty generous scholarship for international students, masters.
Okay, for the next one, Miss Vivian, can we reapply for the second batch if we were rejected from the first batch enrollment?
Yes, you can.
Bisa ya teman-teman sekalian. Okay, the next one, who I should be asking for letter of recommendation?
I think teachers who know you well, and if it happens to be teacher and fields that you are applying for, maybe that's even better. So teachers who know you well.
Okay, I will scroll through the rest of the question
Mhm.
to know how many questions left. Okay, What would you say are the benefits and weaknesses of being an overseas student and an international student?
Well, the differences are application dates, right? So overseas Chinese student, way earlier, if you missed it, you kind of do have to apply as international student unless you want to go through Hui. And the other one is so available programs. So in some cases, for example, for like civil engineering, the English taught program is only open to it's only I believe the civil engineering English taught program is only open to international students rather than overseas Chinese students. So you want to check the program listing. As an international student, you're gonna have the full English taught program list. And the other one is tuition fees. So obviously for overseas Chinese students, your tuition fee is gonna be half that of international student. So these are the main differences that you can, talk to your family, make the decision about that. But I'll say, I think as a student themselves, there's really no difference for student experience between the different statuses. You go to different offices for help, but student organizations like the NTU ISA, you have students of both statuses. So I think it won't affect you much, but you do go to different offices for help after you come to NTU.
Okay, thank you very much. The Q&A session, I will pause it for a moment because I have a huge announcement to all of you. Kita ada announcement untuk semua peserta. Minggu depan, boleh diingat ya, bagi peserta 176 yang lagi nonton ini, terima kasih sudah menyimak sampai akhir. Kita ada promo terbatas, di mana kita minggu depan akan mengadakan study plan and personal statement workshop. Jadi di sini kalian bisa menyiapkan study plan dan personal statement kalian, boleh juga di-submit di formnya. Nanti untuk form pendaftaran ya, khusus untuk 176 yang join ini, kita ada promo dari yang harga untuk webinarnya 50.000, bagi yang udah join webinar hari ini hanya akan dikenakan 30.000. Dan bagi kalian yang ada study plan maupun personal statement, boleh banget langsung di-include-kan juga. Dan untuk mau dapatkan sesi one-on-one session selama 1 jam bersama guru Jenny Yang maupun Vivian, boleh banget langsung nanti kita jadwalkan. Dan harganya dari 250.000 harga normal. Untuk yang ikut hari ini, video call hari ini, webinar hari ini hanya akan dikenakan 200.000. Untuk link pendaftarannya di mana? Boleh langsung di chat ini ya. Aku bantu pin. Gimana cara ngepinnya? Oke. Okay, I will translate the details about the workshop in English. So next week, we are going to hold a study plan and personal statement workshop, which will be conducted mostly in English too, and mostly Indonesia, but we can also help you to explain it in English because the teacher is more fluent in Chinese and in English. And about the price, only for the one who joined today's webinar, we're gonna get this special price by filling the Google form. So here is the Google form, and you can just go into the Google form and get the seat because we have a limited seat. And of course, the 1 hour one-on-one session, we also got literally 20 seats of it. So you guys straight to the link and then fill your names and fill your spot. Jadi bagi teman-teman sekalian sambil mendengarkan Q&A, boleh di screenshot layar ini dan juga boleh di copy formnya yang ada di kolom chat ya. We will continue the Q&A session right now. I will move to the Q&A. Okay, let's continue the Q&A session. Setelah mendaftar jalur prinsipal rekom di NTU, lalu mendaftar di current sensing, apakah akan otomatis ke cancel current sensingnya setelah hasil NTU keluar? Okay, for this question, it's asking about if he or she is applying for principal recommendation, school recommendation in NTU, and then she also apply in current sensing. 但我不知道台大有没有就是在个人申请可不可以申请呢？还是只有学校推荐？
In our case, 个人申请 is the 学校推荐申请. Like if you talk about 台大个人申请, or do you mean international student?
No.
For us at
Uh,
least, like 独招 is 学校推荐. Yeah.
所以独招只有学校推荐这样。
For overseas Chinese student, yes.
了解. Baik, untuk pendaftaran di NTU ini, personal principal recommendation itu adalah keren sensingnya untuk mendaftar ke NTU. Jadi, NTU ini nggak bakal ada lagi di list keren sensing, hanya ada principal recommendation sebagai jalur keren sensingnya. Paham
But
ya?
international student is all 个人申请, so maybe yeah.
Oh, oke. Dan mungkin
Yeah.
internasional tuh ada di jalur karen sensing. Jadi kalian kalau mungkin maksudnya ini probably what they meant is if they are applying for recommendation as overseas and then they're applying
Yeah.
for karen sensing as an international, is
Yes.
it automatically canceled?
It depends on
karen sensing?
the timeline. It depends on whether or not you're accepted as school recommended. Yeah, so as soon as you, I think if you accept the offer, you cannot. So it depends on the time, but you can apply to both. Yeah.
Okay,
The timeline
understood.
does make it, yeah.
Ya, jadi ini tergantung timeline-nya ya, atau jadwal pendaftaran dan jadwal pengumuman, serta jadwal kepastian. Maksudnya setelah kita dari dapat pengumuman diterima, kita bakal ditanyain mau terima atau enggak. Nah, itu tergantung juga kalian submitnya gimana. Jadi, fully tergantung dengan timeline dan jadwal pendaftaran serta pengumuman ya. Okay, next one, where to find accurate data like professor name, etc. You can find it in the department website. Atau di website sekolah, kalian tinggal type in what is the department. For example, if you want to apply in civil engineering, you can type civil engineering National Taiwan University, and then you can jump straight into the school website. Okay, for the next one, it's for Talia. Kak Talia, what's the difference between biochem and the English top biotech program?
Kalau jurusan aku biochem itu lebih wide, lebih luas. Jadi aku bisa nanti pas tahun ketiga sama tahun keempat kalian bisa mulai menjurus kalian entah mau belajar food nutrition atau mau belajar biochemistry aja atau enggak microbiology. Tapi kalau untuk biotech food nutrition program mereka lebih ke application. Jadi mereka dari awal mungkin udah lebih spesifik, jadi lebih ke arah food ya. Kalian untuk detailnya bisa lihat juga di website jurusan. Kalau jurusan biochem tinggal ketik aja NTU BST, kalau biotech tinggal ketik NTU BFN.
Okay, can we do international and Chinese overseas at the same time?
Yes, but you ultimately will enter with just one.
Yeah, you can apply, but you will have to choose one.
Yes.
And then realistically speaking, do students in NTU does side hustle despite the very busy schedule?
Talia, do you want to answer
Yeah.
that? But the answer is yes, they do.
Iya, bisa. Karena dulu aku dari semester 1 juga udah kerja di kantor jurusan, terus aku pernah kerja sambil kuliah di resto, terus di YA juga, dan sama kayak ngurus di lab juga. Jadi bisa. Asal
Iya,
kalian
bahkan
bisa
sekarang
make
ini lagi
waktu.
bekerja ya. Sekarang ini
Bisa.
hitungannya lagi kerja ya, Talia ya. Jadi bisa banget ya, tergantung time management kalian. Aku sebagai lulusan NTU Civil Engineering pun early graduate juga masih bisa selama time management kalian oke. Okay, for the next question. How much cost for the dorm? Is there any scholarships?
So it depends on the dorm itself, what dorm you're talking about. So look up on our dormitory website. And scholarship, it comes with stipend. You can use that stipend on dormitory if you wish to.
For the next one, side hustle is so. What jobs can we take when studying at NTU? If can, what is the job that we can do in NTU? Probably Talia can help to answer this question.
Ya, jadi kalau di NTU ini ada website khusus, jadi kalian bisa cari-cari kerja kayak di departemen mana yang butuh, misalnya kayak di library, Terus ada juga kayak di kantor overseas. Jadi itu nanti websitenya tuh ada. Terus kalian bisa cari-cari lowongan mana yang dibutuhkan. Terus tinggal apply aja.
Iya, jadi perlu diingat juga untuk jam kerjanya, I think you can only apply for 20 hours per week. Per week, is that correct? So you
Yes.
got limited time. I mean, like because Taiwan concerned about your study too, so you have the maximum of 20 hours of work. Jadi cuma 20 jam kerja aja selama seminggu ya. Kalian nggak bisa daftar lebih dari itu. Kalau kalian daftar lebih dari itu, anggapannya itu ilegal. Seperti itu. For the next one, can we apply for English thought program using TOEFL ITP? I got an NTU brochure at the Taiwan Education Fair that says we can apply with a minimum score of 543.
So please check our website. We have different scores listed out and the equivalent. So on the language proficiency page.
Yes, untuk masing-masing jurusan beda-beda, boleh langsung dicek di websitenya langsung. Apakah kita perlu melampirkan sertifikat lomba atau lampiran apapun di personal statement? Iya, boleh dilampirkan ya. Untuk sertifikat maupun apapun itu. Tapi kalau untuk di personal statement, aku bantu translate. So it's asking about, should I attach the certificate in the personal statement or I just mention it? Should I attach the picture? Where should I attach the picture?
So we actually have a space where you can upload supporting documents. If you have a lot of supporting document, you can upload that over there.
Oke, jadi untuk sertifikat itu kalian ada bagiannya sendiri ya. Jadi jangan dimasukin ke personal statement. Personal statement itu purely cuma esai. Dan untuk mau melampirkan sertifikat-sertifikat atau apapun itu bakal ada bagian di bidang lainnya. Paham ya? Apakah sertifikat tes kemampuan akademik dapat diperhitungkan dalam penentuan NTU sertifikat TKA seperti matematika umum dan bahasa Inggris? Baik, untuk tes kemampuan ini bisa diperhitungkan selama kalian melampirkannya di personal statement, kalian bisa menjelaskan dengan detail ya. If I applied as international student, is ICATI stamp still mandatory? I will help to answer this question. Untuk international student, stempel ICATI ini, untuk stempel ICATI itu hanya berlaku untuk overseas Chinese student ya. Tapi sebagai international student, kalian masih perlu stempel. Stempel apa? Lebih banyak lagi. Kemenhukam, Kemenlu, dan juga stempel untuk pembuatan visa serta lainnya. Jadi semua data kalian itu kalau misalnya overseas Chinese itu hanya perlu distempel sama ICATI, tek, selesai. Sedangkan kalau international student, kalian harus daftar mulai dari TETO, tek, stempel TETO, lanjut stempel Kemenlu. Setelah stempel Kemenlu, stempel ke Kemenhumkam. Nah, kalau stempel semuanya kalian udah jajarin, udah selesai, dan udah dapat semua, baru kalian bisa ngumpulin. Seperti itu. Jadi progres stempel ICATI itu bisa dibilang tidak diperlukan, tapi kalian masih tetap perlu stempel, di mana kalian mengkoleksi stempel dari TETO, Kemenlu, Kemenhukam. Seperti itu ya. Untuk lebih jelasnya boleh langsung kontak ke nomor grup di admin grup di Tanya Jawab Kuliah di Taiwan. Kalian bisa tanya ke admin apapun itu untuk tahu jawabannya. Okay, the next one is what is the admission fee? Tadi Vivian already explained it before. You can find it in the school website. And then do you think the overseas scholarship are more competitive than international student scholarship?
I think you can think of yourself as having different competitions. So for overseas Chinese student, we have a lot of Indonesian students, Malaysian students, Hong Kong and Macau students. So you can kind of think of yourself as having different competition pool. For international student, you have a lot of Indonesian students also, but more Thai student, more students from all over the world. So I think you can take that into consideration. You're competing with different people. It's hard to answer whether one is more competitive than the other. But for the overseas Chinese student application, you can imagine more people are applying for, maybe the Malaysian students are more concentrated in the Chinese top programs and all that. So different competition fields. It's a little hard to answer.
Okay, probably this is the last question for the Slido Q&A, and then we're gonna open real life. I mean, like we're gonna ask the participant to open the camera. Are students who's joined during the second session of admission less likely to get scholarship?
No, we will give scholarship to students from all rounds.
Oke. Oke, baik. Bagi para peserta yang mau menanyakan secara offline, boleh banget langsung raise your hand. Boleh raise your hand ya teman-teman sekalian. Kalau ada pertanyaan lainnya yang mau dijawab secara real life. Karena ini kesempatan langka, boleh banget digunakan. Kalau ada yang mau menanyakan, boleh raise your hand and I will ask you to unmute. If you got any question, you can just directly raise your hand and then I will ask you to unmute yourself. So please, if anyone have a question to ask, please raise your hand. Oke, Dr. Suyanto. Baik, Dr. Suyanto, boleh di-open mikrofonnya.
Ya, oke. Ya, terima kasih. Saya bicara pakai bahasa Indonesia aja ya, atau bahasa Inggris?
Indonesia nggak apa-apa, nanti saya
Ya. Saya Suyanto ya. Kebetulan anak saya yang pertama juga di Taiwan ya, kuliah. Dan yang kedua ini rencana mau apply di NTU. Nah, pertanyaannya adalah untuk beasiswa ini syaratnya setelah untuk per semester itu apakah syaratnya mendapat batas nilai tertentu baru dapat, kemudian jika ternyata gagal mendapat raihkan nilai batas minimum tersebut, itu bagaimana? Apakah hilang selanjutnya atau bagaimana? Ya. Karena anak saya kebetulan kuliah di tempat lain, dia di sana dibatasi nilainya 85 dan juga nilai attitude juga harus di atas 80. Dan itu harus di-apply per semester. Kalau di NTU bagaimana gitu? Makasih.
Ini maksudnya untuk scholarship atau seperti apa, Bapak?
Scholarship yang kan kita mendaftar, misalnya kita dapat scholarship. Kemudian untuk mempertahankan scholarship-nya ini, apakah ada syarat ketentuan yang berlaku gitu?
Oh, baik. Okay, Miss Vivian, the question is, what is the standard of how can we keep the scholarship? I mean, like if we got accepted into the scholarship, what is the minimum GPA, the minimum conduct, like
Yes.
the
Yes. So we have different requirements for overseas Chinese student and international students. So for specific, you can look it up on our website. But I think the difference is that for overseas Chinese students, from year 1 to year 4, you have a standard GPA you have to keep your scholarship. And for international student, it gets higher gradually. So the GPA requirement gets higher. Whereas for overseas Chinese student, it stays a little bit higher from the beginning.
Oke, apakah paham, Dok?
Ya, bisa paham. Jadi kita tidak bisa pindah scholarship ya, jika kita sudah mendaftar dari awal misalnya overseas, kita kemudian pindah ke scholarship di internasional, atau scholarship di internasional kita mau pindah ke scholarship di tempat lain. Ya,
Iya.
harus sama terus ya, begitu ya.
Harus sama terus, apalagi mengenai status ya. Status itu ketika kita nyampe di tahun pertama di Taiwan, kalau kita statusnya dari awal ada overseas Chinese, ya kita harus stay kita hanya bisa daftar ke scholarship yang bagi overseas Chinese saja, seperti itu.
Ya.
Okay,
Oke, makasih.
thank you. Thank you very
Ya.
much for the next one. Felicia, can you unmute yourself? Untuk Felicia, baik.
Perkenalkan saya Felicia, izin bertanya. Kalau misalnya di GRSG itu kan kita bisa milih 4 dan jurusannya juga bisa pilih beda dan univnya juga bisa pilih beda. Nah itu apakah personal statement dan study plan-nya itu perlu bikin 4 atau hanya 1? Dan apakah di personal statement tersebut itu ditulisin kayak kenapa kita mau pilih, apakah harus dituliskan mau ambil di universitas ini gitu.
Okay, so the question if in 个人申请，就是我们可以申请到4个学校还是5个学校？他就问一个学校要一个 personal statement and study plan，还是一个可以给全部这样？
So actually, every department you have its own space to upload a personal statement and study plan. And I think my tip is that for study plan, especially, it should look different for the different department because you should have different things you want to talk about, but you will have space to upload different personal statement and different study plans.
Oke, baik. Apa udah paham ya? Kalau sudah, aku bantu untuk Felicia. Jadi, untuk study plan dan personal statement, kalian harus menentukan bikinnya sesuai dengan jurusan yang kalian mau ya. Udah menjawab ya, Felicia?
Berarti itu berarti anggapannya disesuai apa ya? Kayak
Iya,
eh
disesuaikan sama jurusan yang mau
ah,
didaftar.
jadi nanti bikinnya kayak misalnya 4 gitu ya.
Iya, kayak gitu.
Oke.
Oke, move on to the
Bisa
next
ya.
one. Kak Heri, boleh dibantu unmute?
Ya, selamat malam. Terima kasih buat waktunya. Saya Heri. Saya mau nanya ini, apa namanya, kalau personal statement sama study plan, itu kan tadi diterangkan dalam bahasa Inggris, maksud tulisannya. Kalau misalnya ditulis dalam bahasa Mandarin, apakah peluang diterima lebih besar atau sama? Itu sih pertanyaan saya. Terima kasih.
Okay, the question is, if the personal statement study plan is written in Chinese, does it will improve the acceptance rate, or it's gonna be the same?
I think it's the same. I think it's the content that matters more. I think only in cases like if you're applying for the Chinese language department, maybe in that case it'll be better to, show your Chinese skills that way. But in other cases, quite a lot of our students do submit English study plans, and I think it's fine.
Baik, apakah sudah jelas, Pak Heri?
Sudah. Terima kasih.
Okay, thank you. The next one is from Freya. Can you unmute yourself, Freya?
Okay, good evening. My name is Freya, and thank you for the opportunity. This is a question for Miss Vivian. I wanted to ask if the overseas Chinese program admission is still open, which maybe I might have missed it earlier. Thank you for your help.
Okay. So if you want to join us next September, it's already closed. So you have two options now. Either you can apply as an international student, or you can go through the Haidianhui process if you still want to apply as an overseas Chinese student.
Okay, thank you.
For the next one, Clarista, please unmute yourself. And then for the question, we're gonna left for Joshua, Kirana, and Galen, and the last one is Clara. This is the last 5 question with Clarista. Okay, please unmute yourself, Clarista.
Oh, malam, Ci. Aku pakai Indo ya.
Boleh.
Jadi kan sebelumnya aku udah daftar yang buat high school recommendation itu. Cuman pas di situ sertifikat TOCFL tuh belum ada gitu. Kalau sekarang aku susulin gitu sertifikatnya lewat email gitu bisa atau enggak? Itu aja.
Maksudnya
Thank you.
sertifikat apa? Sorry.
Sertifikat TOCFL-nya karena kemarin belum keluar gitu loh sertifikatnya.
Kamu udah daftar
Pas
melalui jalur rekomendasi kepala sekolah?
Iya, yang kemarin itu. Tapi sertifikatnya karena belum keluar, jadi aku nggak bisa input buat di language proficiency.
Okay.
Kalau aku
So
atau enggak.
thank you. Miss Vivian, Clarissa already applied for the overseas Chinese, but she didn't upload the TOCFL certification because the certification came out late. Is it possible if she included to email, or how can she?
Yes, please email the admission email.
Boleh di email ke admission ya, Clarista. Semoga menjawab.
Oke, thank you, Ci.
The next one is Joshua. Please open your mic.
Okay, good evening, Miss Vivian. So my name is Joshua, and I have some few questions about the NU admissions. First, where can I find the online application portal? Because I couldn't find the application portal. The second, actually, I have just taken the HSK4 just at the October 18th, and the result just came out at maybe 1 month later. Is it okay if I apply for the conditional admission, and if I want to gain the master's degree, can I apply with my HSK4 certificate?
Yeah, so actually I think if it's okay, I will share my screen so everyone can see where to find the application portal. Okay, give me a second.
Sure. You can share your screen. Okay.
Okay, can everyone see it?
Bisa lihat ya semuanya ya. Boleh react kalau udah bisa lihat.
Okay, so I'm assuming you mean international student application since that's the one that's currently open. So you will go under apply, so go to degree student and find international student. And then this button is where you can see all the available programs and also the specific requirement for each program. So if you're interested in learning more about the programs, you can click into here, and that's gonna tell you more about the classes you have to take and also the application requirement. So the application portal is actually right down here. So it's the online application system, and you can see here that first round is open. So all you have to do is to click into here, and that's the online portal. And the other question you mentioned, which is the HSK, it's fine. A conditional admission is not something you apply for, but rather you apply and then the department realized that you qualify, except you don't have the language proficiency yet, and then they will give you a conditional offer. So you still apply regularly, but instead on your language proficiency proof, you can provide some proof that you've taken the test, you just don't have the results yet, and that'll be okay.
Okay, thank you very much, Ms. Vivian. Hope it's answered. The next question is from Kirana. Can you unmute yourself, Kirana?
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes.
Hello, thank you for this opportunity. Hypothetically, if a student did get a scholarship, will they need to do any sort of service hours or community service type thing for
No,
scholarship students? Okay, thank you.
For NTU, NTU scholarship, we don't have any requirements. We also, for the NTU scholarship, we don't have any requirement that you have to stay in Taiwan afterward for however many years.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Eh, kalian, saya ingin bertanya untuk language proficiency level ini, kira-kira untuk semua jurusan itu perlunya A2 atau mungkin ada lagi yang perlunya di atas A2 gitu kayak B1. Thank you.
Sorry, Shinta, I don't think I can hear you. I think you're muted.
Oh,
Sorry.
sorry.
Untuk pendaftaran jurusan kah?
Untuk language proficiency-nya itu kira-kira untuk semua jurusan perlunya level A2 atau mungkin
Oh,
ada yang perlu B1.
itu beda-beda ya. Ini aku bantu pastikan ulang, tapi pasti jawabannya berbeda-beda tergantung jurusan masing-masing. So, Miss Vivian, she's asking whether the language proficiency for each major that you apply to is A2, or some major that requires B1, B2, C1.
The majority require A2 only. And then, for example, the majority, so A2 is the baseline requirement for the school, and there are some requirements that have higher language proficiency proof. And then maybe I'll show my screen again to show where you can check specifically. So give me 1 second.
Yes, sure.
Okay, so we're back on this webpage, and for example, so the one that for sure has a different language proficiency proof is the Department of Chinese Literature, as you can imagine. So we can click into Chinese literature and go onto application requirement. So here, minimum language proficiency requirement. So this is the university. So this is for all the programs. So it says at A2 or above. And if you scroll down, you can see that the department's recommended language skills. So they recommend at least a B2 or above. So do note that it says recommended and is not required, but if the department puts a recommendation here, I think it shows that they want to see higher language proficiency proofs. But if you look at some other programs, for example, we can look at life science, Chinese taught life science program. Yeah, so they have a link recommended, but do note that recommended is not required. It's only for majority program, it's only A2 that's required. Yeah. So you can check here for more information for sure. And if you just click around, you'll see that for each department they list out different skills. But for requirement, A2 is a requirement. So unless this says department's recommended language skills, you don't necessarily have to have it.
Oke, paham ya untuk cara-caranya. Tadi yang tanya boleh raise hand lagi. Okay, probably last question from Rahul. Can you unmute yourself, Rahul?
Oke, thank you Kak. Aku mau tanya untuk surat rekomendasi, apakah ada masa berlakunya? Misal kita minta untuk misalnya kita minta surat rekomendasi mungkin 1 atau 2 tahun lalu, apakah tetap bisa digunakan untuk ya mungkin untuk tahun-tahun berikutnya. Dan yang kedua, untuk surat rekomendasi ini apakah bisa untuk general gitu digunakan untuk apply beberapa jurusan dan juga beberapa univ, atau per univ itu satu surat rekomendasi? Thank you Kak.
Okay, for the question from Rahul, he is asking whether or not this recommendation. So he got the recommendation from a teacher, and then is there any expired date for the recommendation letter, or can he use one recommendation letter for all of the application?
You can use one recommendation letter for all the application. I think how our system works is that you will enter the recommender's email, and then the recommender will upload, their recommendation. So if you've talked it out with your recommender and they have a recommendation letter from years ago, I think that's fine. But as long as they can upload it, it should be fine.
Oke, jadi untuk sistem penguploadannya itu adalah kalian menuliskan email guru yang mau memberikan rekomendasi ke kalian. Nanti gurunya itu bakal di-emailin dari NTU untuk upload rekomendasinya. Jadi kalian nggak upload sendiri, tapi gurunya yang harus memakai surat rekomendasinya kapanpun itu. Jadi boleh banget ya teman-temanku. Okay. Is there any more question from anyone? Kalau ada pertanyaan lain, boleh raise your hand. Kalau misalnya nggak ada, aku bantu ingatkan kembali, khusus bagi yang mengikuti webinar hari ini. Jadi pendaftaran itu hanya terbuka untuk hari ini saja ya. Formulir hanya dibagikan di chat Zoom. Di chat Zoom ini, harga hanya untuk hari ini. Jadi formulirnya boleh diisi di chat Zoom ini ya teman-teman sekalian. Sorry. Jadi flat chat Zoom ini tolong dibaca chat Zoom-nya. Kita hanya share khusus di chat Zoom yang mengikuti Zoom sampai akhir ini. Dan promonya hanya berlaku hari ini aja. Sebesar 30.000 dari potongan dari yang 50.000 aslinya jadi 30.000 saja. Untuk kalian kalau udah ada study plan dan personal statement, kalian bisa menginputkan di mana kalian mendapatkan sesi privat selama 1 jam untuk memperbaiki study plan dan personal statement kalian dengan harga aslinya 250.000 hanya akan menjadi 200.000 ya. 200.000 pembayaran dilakukan melalui Google Form, semuanya disubmit melalui Google Form. Dan untuk workshop ini akan kita upload besok dan dengan harga normal. Jadi diingatkan kembali bagi para peserta yang sudah mengikuti acara hari ini, jangan lupa untuk segera mendaftarkan diri. Formulir akan ditutup malam ini jam 11.59 karena besok kita akan upload form baru dengan harga normal. Jadi ini ada promo khusus dengan limited seat. Kalau kalian memang benar-benar membutuhkan ini dari yang udah dijelaskan sama Miss Vivian, kalian bakal dapat sesi one-on-one serta webinarnya. Seperti itu ya teman-teman sekalian. Okay, if there are no question, is there any more last word that Miss Vivian or Thalia want to speak?
Yes, so we have limited time, and I'm really happy to see all the interest and question. So if we didn't get to you, but you really have a question you want to ask, please just email us and we'll get back to you very promptly.
Okay.
Yeah,
Thank you very much, Miss Vivian. Can you also include the email in the comment section so everyone will
Yes,
know
I
where?
will. Okay.
Oke, bagi Thalia boleh menyampaikan sepatah dua patah kata terakhir.
Oke, semuanya kayak thank you buat hari ini. Kayak it's been a fun event and then I wish you good luck to apply to NTU. Kalian bisa semangat.
Oke, thank you very much. Thank you very much everyone. Terima kasih atas sesi hari ini. Dengan ini saya mengumumkan saya Sinta Santoso, lulusan Taiwan, dan saya juga sangat berterima kasih kepada NTU. I'll really thank you for Miss Vivian and Thalia for sharing with us today. Really thank you for the opportunity to host you guys and see you in the next event, which is next week. Thank you everyone. Goodbye and
Thank
good night.
you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you.